Hey guys, so tankers have actually been destroyed this week with Frontline decreasing by 8%, NAT decreasing by over 10%, and Euronav by about 5%. So it's definitely not been good news for the tanker market this week. And I believe the main reason why is actually Suezmax rates went into negative spot rate territory, which to me is interesting. I don't know how that works. It's pretty much like a tanker company saying, "Here, I'll pay you $500, and you can actually store oil on my ship." So, I mean, that just might be some sort of aberration, but yeah, we'll look at that later. And we're actually going to have a special guest on our channel that will focus on the technical side of things, and he is Ignace from Dandy Finance. And whereas I like to look at fundamentals, sort of, for example, where the industry is projected to be going into the future, their earnings growth potential, stuff like price to earnings ratio and book to value ratio and stuff like that. Danny will focus on the technical side of things, sort of like the MACD, the RSI, and that is definitely very informative for more short-term investment. And it can also tell you where sort of the bottom will be in, for example, this tanker market that seems to be continue to be downtrending with no end in sight. Okay, and of course, analyzing technical side also has its flaws. So, I mean, the technical analysis or the technicals could go out the window if there is a huge change in, let's say, the news. Let's say all of a sudden, OPEC is producing way more oil and they need to now store all that oil because there's no demand. So tanker rates could go up. So for example, yeah, technical analysis, sort of a disclaimer to that, it could get thrown out the window as soon as there's a major change in the industry, which could happen very quickly. So first, we're going to look at Frontline stock. Again, Frontline stock not looking very good for this week. However, now it's actually being considered a value play, right? So Zacks Equity Research now ranks Frontline as number one strong buy based off of the very good value that you'll get when you buy Frontline. As we can see, for one, it has a 32% dividend yield as of right now. Of course, that's going to most likely go down as spot rates are decreasing and they're not going to be earning as much. But yeah, first, insane dividend, and also ridiculously low price to earnings ratio of 2.57. Now it says that's trailing 12 months. But if we actually look at the stats right here, it has a forward P ratio of 5. So some could see this as a value play, right? And this stock also is not incredibly heavily shorted, but around 5% of shares outstanding are shorted. But yeah, we'll move over to Ignace for his technical analysis on Frontline.
Hey Adam, thank you for inviting me to the channel. And hello everyone, this is Ignace from Dandy Finance. So I will be doing a technical analysis on Frontline. Keep in mind that I'm not a financial advisor, so this is only my opinion. So this here was the highs of April. The price went to almost $12 per share, but after that it was trending lower for a long time. By the end of April, the 12-day moving average of the MACD crossed the 26th one to the lower side and stayed there for months. It only crossed back over the 26th one by the end of July. Another interesting part that I'm looking at in this period are the moving averages. In the beginning of June, we can find that the 50-day moving average acted as a good resistance. Also, by the end of June, the price went lower and the 200-day moving average acted as a support. After that, the price tried to move higher, but it didn't reach the 50-day moving average again. Then in the middle of September, as the price was in a downtrend, it reached the 200-day moving average. On the MACD, we can find that the 12-day moving average crossed the 26th one to the lower side there and is moving under ever since. The price of the stock also crossed the 200-day moving average to the lower side and is there since. Looking at the relative strength index, it is around or under 40 for 5 weeks in a row, which shows that there is more selling than buying being done. Also, we have seen some price increase towards the 200-day moving average, but it acted as a good resistance, and this week the price is again moving lower. Both RSI and MACD shows weakness, so I don't think that the price will be moving up soon. Let's check on the daily chart, in the second half of August, the 12-day moving average of the MACD crossed the 26th one to the lower side, and the price was trending lower for a while. The 50-day moving average acted as a bit of a support by the end of August and as resistance in the beginning of September. The resistance worked and the price kept moving lower from there. It only changed direction in the beginning of October. The 12-day moving average of the MACD crossed the 26th one to the upper side, and the price went up just a bit higher with it. But now we can find that the 12-day moving average of the MACD crossed the 26th one to the lower side again, which shows that the price is likely to move lower from here. And since we are so low already, we need to go back to around 2019 for a support level, and in my opinion that is currently around $5 per share. So that is my take on Frontline. Now back to you, Adam.
Okay, awesome. So now we're going to move on to Nordic American Tankers. Right now, currently sitting at pretty much like a 6-month low of $3.17. Ridiculous how this stock has downtrended by 55% over 6 months. And so again, no real news other than actually that the Suezmax tanker rates this is from Potent Partners Daily Briefing. If you sign up to get a subscription, you can actually receive these emails on Friday, October 23rd, the Suezmax rates were negative 500, which is, again, like I said in the beginning, I don't understand how that works, but you can see the 10-day trend is, yeah, not very good for Suezmax rates. Again, kind of a little concerning. But, in the current situation that we're in with floating storage is offloading, relatively low demand for oil, we can expect that there's not going to be huge demand for tankers. Of course, I'm holding all my NAT shares for the time being. Another piece of news came out that the CEO's son, Alexander Hansen, bought 45,000 shares of NAT at $3.52. So NAT is sitting at $3.17. He's at a bit of a loss right now, but of course, definitely not as much of a loss as most of us are in. I mean, unless he could have just posted this and then sold these shares immediately after. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, I'm kind of poking fun at the way that they haven't been less than transparent in terms of announcing whether they purchase or sell shares. Pretty much I did a video, which I'll link it up here, that went over some sort of shady financial practices where they announce when they buy shares, but not when they sell shares. Okay. Other than that, I don't like how, I usually receive a weekly tanker market update here, but now they're like, we now wish to periodically comment on the tanker market on our website. We will do that monthly or so. Our first comment on the tanker market by NAT will be early November 2020. The third quarter produced solid results. I mean, I haven't seen the third quarter results. If you do have third quarter results, please let me know down in the comments. And I mean, I might contact them and ask them for their quarterly reports for the third quarter. But yeah, that's what I have for NAT, and now back to Ignace for some technical analysis.
Now let's get into the technicals of NAT. So back in April we saw these crazy highs of $9 per share, but the price kept trending lower ever since. The 12-day moving average of the MACD crossed the 26th one in the middle of June and is moving there ever since. It's interesting to see that the relative strength index is also very steadily trending lower for 4 months straight. Another thing that gets my attention is how the stock price is moving together with the 200-day moving average acting as support. It bounced off it in the end of May and also in the end of June. But then by the end of August, the price broke through to the lower side, and in the middle of September, the 200-day moving average already acted as resistance. That worked and the price keeps moving lower since then. Seeing the MACD go lower and the 200-day moving average acting as resistance, I think that we could still be looking at a lower price from here. Let's check on the daily chart. Starting with July, the 200-day moving average acted as resistance, and the 50-day moving average was the support. The price bounced up and down a few times, but then in September it crossed the 200-day moving average to the lower side, and the price is now still moving lower. If we look at the MACD, the 12-day moving average crossed the 26th one to the upper side in the beginning of October, and the stock price saw a bit of an increase there. But if we check on the last 3 trading days, the MACD crossed to the lower side again, and we are currently back on going lower. The relative strength index is just oversold at 31, so it seems that the price is likely to move lower, and my next support could be at around $2.90 per share.
Thank you, Ignace. So finally, we're going to be talking about Euronav, and again, it's at $8 per share right now with a forward dividend and yield of 20%. So again, looking pretty good. and with a P ratio not as nice as Frontline. But also Euronav is pretty much like the darling of the oil tanker industry, right? It's looked upon fondly out of all the tankers pretty much, and has pretty good corporate governance, which is pretty important in my opinion. And actually has average price target of $13, which represents about like mid 40% potential increase in the stock price over the next 12 months. Okay, so if I were to choose to purchase a stock between Euronav, Frontline, and NAT, I definitely would pick either Frontline or Euronav, just because of when they bounce back. I do believe that these companies, Euronav and Frontline, will bounce back higher than NAT. I will expect NAT to bounce back, but maybe not as much because a lot of people are growing negative sentiment towards the company, right? Including myself. But of course, as a shareholder, I sort of need to stick it out. But yeah, again, back to Dandy, and this is it for me. So again, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you, Ignis, for coming on to the channel.
I'm back again, and this time we are looking at the weekly chart of Euronav. The price went to the highs of $12.47 back in April, and identical to other tankers, it dropped heavily. Between May and June we had 5 weeks when the 50-day moving average acted as resistance, but after that the price went way lower and crossed the 200-day moving average. After that, on the MACD we can find that the 12-day moving average was moving closer to the 26th one, and the histogram shows how money was moving back into the stock. We have seen a steady uptrend in the stock price in July, but then in the beginning of September it reached the 50-day moving average. This was a good resistance, and after that the price moved lower. It bounced a bit from the support of the 200-day moving average, tried to move back up to the 50-day moving average but didn't make it. Went back down to the 200 one, crossed it, and is currently moving lower. If we check on the MACD, the 12-day moving average just recently crossed the 26th one, so there is likely potential for the price to move lower. Let's check on the daily chart. Here we can find that in the beginning of July there was a direction change in the MACD. The 12-day moving average crossed the 26th one to the upper side, and we saw a steady increase in price for a month and a half. But then the price bounced on the resistance of the 200-day moving average and is trending lower since. The direction in these few months didn't really care about the 50-day moving average acting as resistance or support. If we check on the MACD in the first half of October, both the 12 and the 26-day moving averages were moving together. But starting with the second half, the 12-day one is moving lower and further away from the 26th one. The relative strength index is also moving lower and is currently at 32. These all show that the price should be still moving lower from here. And my next target is at $7.30 per share. So that is all. I hope my insights gave you some value. Have a great day, everyone.